Hello everyone, I'm just making sure that we're live in places. Let me know if you can watch, if you can see and hear me. I'm just waiting for my guest to arrive, but I thought I'd jump on quickly and say hello. I'm just letting people know. Let me know if you can see and hear me. Let me know if you're watching live. Sometimes the Facebook algorithm doesn't like letting people know that I'm live. So if you could let me know that you're like that, you can see and hear me, that would be amazing. I'm just looking for where I'm going to share this. I think sometimes people catch it on Instagram before they catch it anywhere else. So just going to look. If you're watching on replay, forgive me while I just do this and then I'll talk to you. So one sec. One second. Here we go. Oh, it doesn't think I'm live. Anyway, no, we're not. Here we go. I don't know if we are. I'll do it while we're chatting. Okay, so my guest is just arriving. This is part of our half-term Hot Topics series, where we have people joining us from everywhere. I believe that Helen's joining us from outside the Natural History Museum this morning, like our reporter on the ground. And we talk about hot topics for half-term. If you're watching this and you want to kind of get access to some of my other stuff, please do go to my website. If you go to my website, HeidiMaver.com, and use the code half-term at the checkout for the Marble Run, you'll be able to join for half price. The Marble Run is our online membership for parents and carers in neurodivergent households. So instead of paying £27 for your first month, you'll pay just £13.50. So without further ado, I'm going to get the lovely Helen on with me. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yeah. This is very exciting.
I know.
I feel like it's an outside broadcast situation. It's very exciting. And whilst I'm letting you do some introductions and saying hello, I'm just going to share this into relevant places. I have got your slides ready to go, so let me know when you want me to bring them up on the screen. Helen's going to share some stuff with us this morning. I've got some slides to share with you on her behalf. She'll do the whole next slide, please thing, like we're in COVID. And I'll press buttons, and I'll also keep an eye on the chat and make sure that this is shared in the relevant places. So do you want to say hello, Helen, and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And it's really exciting to be on here. And there's lots of resonance with everyone else on half-term juggling. Anyone else? Not just me. So I'm Helen Davies. I'm the founder of a few things, but particularly something called Practical Wisdom, and that supports the neurodivergent community. And I'm also involved in a couple of other things. That one is about accreditation of neurodiversity in organizations, and it doesn't have to be just about work. And the other thing is Joyfully Different, which is about businesses, because there's a lot of us who are entrepreneurs, funny enough, who might have a neurospicy background. I also have a little boy, and you'll see him in a second, and he has developmental language disorder. I myself have ADHD and dyslexia. So we have a whole neurospicy family. And ours is blended, so there's also a few extra people in the family as well who don't have a diagnosis, but I put money on it.
Yeah, one of those things, like if you're one of our people, you're one of our people.
Yeah, completely. In fact, I think my partner is probably a little bit more ADHD than me.
Yeah,
their tolerance to not do anything, to like, I have to do something all the time is quite high.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a bit about me. And the slides and things I'm going to talk about today is about our energy and optimizing it, as well as being knackered parents. So yeah, so if you could pop the first slide up, that would be amazing.
I'm on it.
So nice having a glamorous assistant.
Am I Debbie McGee to your Paul Daniels?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm slightly poorer than him, but yeah. So energy audit. So I wish my life was that bouncy every day, but that's me on a good day with a lot of energy. And I'm not sure about you, but sometimes I have to try and save what I use my energy on, because there's only so much to go around when you're juggling being a parent, the stuff at home, the stuff at school, and some people are working from home as well, or working elsewhere. So it's a lot to juggle. Next slide, please.
Oh, wrong button.
Oh.
Sorry. Not as efficient as Debbie. Go ahead.
But it's live, isn't this exciting? Yeah, so managing energy, and this is something, I don't know about you, and if anyone has got any feedback in the chat, for example, anyone else slightly tired, let's say, on trying to juggle a few things. I'm sure I'm not alone, but let me know in the chat how you find things, if it's you guys as well. Next slide, please.
There you go.
So a lot of people might be more common with this, which is called spoons, particularly if people have chronic fatigue. And there is actually an intersection quite a lot with neurodiversity and chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, those kind of things. So often with that, and say long COVID, which also some people, particularly autistic people, are taking longer to recover from, we use this analogy of 10 spoons. And that's like every day you have about 10 spoons. And it's completely subjective, and that's fine, but you only have the 10. So if you're doing something that's going to cost you, say, 11 spoons, say you've got a kid's party to throw, and hell, that might cost you a good 12 spoons, you're probably going to be absolutely wrecked the next day and actually have, only 8 spoons. So you'll have an average of 10 for every day throughout the week, but sometimes you might need to save some spoons beforehand, and sometimes you will be borrowing from the next day. There generally, though, is a predictable flow, and that's something to be aware of. So that, for example, like the kids' party, for example, I know that I might need to save my energy and try and be organized, which isn't my strong point, beforehand, because I know how much it will drain me. But different things drain different people. But you can also counterbalance things. So some things may drain you, but some things might actually give you energy. So things like this right now, speaking to people, I absolutely love. This gives me loads of energy. So I know this is one way to help give myself back a spoon, if you like. So that's the concept of energy and 10 spoons. Next slide, please. And then we kind of need to have a little think about it in our energy audit, which is what we wanted to get onto today. Thinking about what and who affects you. So sometimes that can be about social events, particularly if you're having to mask quite a lot. That can actually be really draining. Sometimes it can be about tasks. Other times it can be about people. So there can be a combination of a few things. So next slide again. And do feel free to ask anything in the chat. And if you're watching on this on replay, I will make sure that Heidi has my email address and I can answer any queries as well. So this is what I call the people energy meter. It's a really simple exercise. So if you've got a pen and paper, great. But if not, just do it in your head. You imagine a circle, and inside it are people who give you energy. Okay? And outside it are people who drain your energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really interesting to think about the common people you interact with all the time, where they fit. It doesn't have to be your whole community, the people you mainly spend time with. So, for example, for me, I've got a friend called Alice, and they've been, I find they're a great mate. I find them really useful. They give me loads of energy. So is my brother. My partner is a bit of both, but mainly giving energy. It's just an example. But some people might be that, they might give a bit of energy, but also might be a bit draining. To other people, for example, it could be your dad or your partner, they could actually really drain you. It doesn't mean they're a bad person either, by the way. It just means that they cost you a lot of energy. Okay, so we're not being judgy about that. We're just saying that's what that's sorry about that, but that can happen. And really? And then also you can have like teachers, for example, or managers that you find by training. Sorry, I don't know why they're doing that. Yeah. Right.
That guy in
So
that
have a
car
little.
would be outside the circle right now, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if I had a shotgun, it'd be right there. I'm like, literally, why? There's no reason. There's no issue. But anyway, he's clearly bit of looking for attention. Anyway, so if you have a little think about what and Heidi, I don't know, even for yourself, can you think about, there are a couple of people who'd be inside and some outside in your, you don't have to name them, no naming
Yeah,
and shaming, but now here's the thing, imagine the top 5 people you spend with, if the majority of them are actually in the draining energy, no wonder why you're tired.
yeah,
And it's so helpful to do. Now, God love our kids, but they may be in that bucket too. And I love my son dearly, but he's definitely in that draining bucket.
yeah,
And I think that's also something to consider, is you've only got so much energy to go around. So can you counterbalance it by, for example, play dates with a friend who actually gives you energy? Do you know what I mean? So you just don't feel like you're just drowning trying to deal with the situations that drain you, whatever they
yeah,
are. So it's worth having a think about the things that, the people, and how you can counterbalance that. And also, if somebody drains you and say you don't actually need to spend loads of time with them, like a manager or whatever, or say people at the school gate, sometimes that can feel a bit toxic, then hell, don't waste your time there, because that was going to cost you so much energy. So it's just literally not worth it. And so the whole point
yeah,
of this is to also think about energy and having a finite amount of energy as you would money, as you would time. So I think that's really important. And then the second one is, if you could do the next slide, please. The next kind of reading that you can do and think about. So we've talked about people and the energy. Then we can also talk about tasks that we do. Now, I'm dyslexic. I literally hate admin with a force. It's disproportionately so. That would be like so high on my draining. So if you were to put a line across what gives you joy and energy and what depletes it, yeah, what drains you. Again, it's good to look at those tasks and have a think about those tasks for you and where you are on the tasks that you do every day. Because again, if you're doing something that's draining, do you really need to do it for a start? If you do, is there a way to uplift it? Like, I admit it, I'm so untidy. I hate really tidying up. It's my other nemesis. The only way I can get through that is either by playing music or listening to a podcast. Sometimes some poor person gets the body double, but basically that's the only way I can get to do that, because it's literally my kryptonite. And so I can do that. Whereas, like I say, a lot of people-based, talking to people, if I'm doing workshops, if I'm, I love traveling, that all gives me joy. And genuinely my work does. So that's handy actually, isn't it? But because that gives me, and I spend a lot of time at work, even if it is remotely, and that helps fill me up. So it's worth thinking about that firstly, and then secondly about the sequence of it. So
yeah,
you might not have a choice, but there is some choice quite often. So for example, you might want to, like for me, I might want to get my admin done in the morning, just to get it out of the way. And because my cognitive ability is much better in the morning, 3 o'clock onwards, I'm useless. So literally that would be my time to do that. And then something like a networking event definitely was scheduled for the afternoon, because it would like bolster me up.
yeah,
And sometimes you can have if you know something's going to be really draining, you might need a transition time, even if it's a few songs or going for a quick walk. you might need to like almost like break that energy between the good and the bad thing almost, so that you can go from one thing to the next things. So that's a really, really useful review to do.
I think that's really
Next slide,
important,
please.
because sometimes I think we look at
Yeah.
tasks and we just think about the time it's going to take us. And something can be
No.
a quick task, but be very heavy on energy for you. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking about our
Yeah.
families who are advocating for their children or young people. Sending an email
yeah.
to a caseworker who's looking after your
Yeah.
EHCP might be a 10-minute job, but it can wipe you out for the whole morning in terms of the energy that it uses. So it's really important to do that.
Completely. Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. So obviously I've done many an EHCP.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, when I'm in the meeting, I've got my mask up, I'm okay. But beforehand, I'm in pieces, because you also have to slate your kid off as much as you possibly can, say how rubbish life is, and which might be triggering anyway, to try and get anything. And yeah, no, it's right up there with completely. Yeah, and for me, it's quite time consuming as well because of the written
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't do it by myself anymore. I always make sure that I have somebody else with me.
Yeah.
When definitely in the meetings, but also even in the pre-meet, even in preparing the work, I literally can't do it by myself. I just find it too upsetting.
Yeah.
So I do get that very much. Yeah. And like you say, sometimes it might be a quick email, you know, from that social, you know, my little boy who you saw there, he's adopted. So sometimes, you know, my social worker's lovely. We're lucky because his adopted social workers seem to be quite sweet. But I still dread the email. And so even responding to, I can do this time, could wipe you out for a long time. I completely resonate with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Lisa
Um,
Marie's saying that meetings will take
yeah.
the whole day out from underneath her, just one meeting. And yeah, it depends what it is, doesn't it? But yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really common experience.
It can. So it's definitely good to think that. But also, the other thing I would say to you is what could fill you up. So it could now, since I've started doing this, I've been able to gain time back and energy, because I know something like the EHCP stuff is gonna really upset me. I make sure that one, I have a little bit of time to cry, if I'm honest, afterwards, and then I have time. Then I meet one of my besties, and we go for a coffee, get out of the house. Change of environment helps me because it just
Mm-hmm.
like helps your headset rather than just sitting there. So
Mm-hmm.
also trying to build in like something else that will help lift you up or soothe you could also
Yeah.
break how much energy it costs you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely. Yeah. Next slide, please. So the other thing is just to say self-care is not selfish. And I'm sure you said this so many times as well. Boundaries are not a swear word. It's absolutely fine to have a boundary. And managing the energy and the draining folk and social events and those tasks is completely and utterly acceptable. Okay. And, you know, if you're ever doubting it, you know, you can say, Helen said, and so you know. And so that you like, I give you all permission should you need it. You don't need it, but sometimes we do. It's kind of weird. But I give you all permission. So you got permission from me, and I'm a nurse as well. So there you go. That has a lot of weight.
Nurse Helen
The
says you are
nurse
allowed.
Helen says, yeah,
Yeah,
you are
absolutely.
allowed to put yourself not first, but equally, because we put ourselves right at the back of the queue. Can we even try and go for equal? You know?
Yeah. Lisa
Yeah.
Marie says, head to the
So,
bath. Always. Her place is
oh,
the bath.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, yeah, that's worked. Soothing. See, that's a like soothing strategy, isn't it?
I have a
Next
friend
slide, please.
who has to not use the plug in the bath. She uses a flannel because otherwise, once the plug's in the bath, she knows
Oh.
she'll never get out. So she uses a flannel so it gently drains away. And then when it's empty, she knows she has
Oh,
to get out.
wow.
Otherwise, she'll spend like all day in
Oh,
the bath when she doesn't want to necessarily. So yeah. But I find
oh,
baths
bless
very
her.
soothing.
Yeah, I love it because I get a lot of pain in my body since I've had the bereavements of my parents. And
Mm-hmm.
I know, and I find that like, yeah, the bath salts make a massive difference.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
really feel the bath.
Lisa just lives in a bath. Do you know, I
Go
think
for it.
that
You
I
just
know
live there.
I know sometimes people think that baths are like luxurious, you know, and like, oh, wouldn't it be lovely to lie in
Oh
a
no.
bubble bath? But actually, just for like general like hygiene, I much prefer a bath to a shower. I find it much more energizing. I find showers exhausting, even a seated shower. So I'm more likely to run a bath and have a quick wash in a bath than I am to have, to have a shower, because it works for me in terms of what it tops me up and what my energy levels are doing. Definite.
I notice now when I don't have baths a couple of times a week to in terms of soaking in a bath. I do wash more than that, but well, sometimes no, I do. But because basically that actually really helps my regulation. It really helps like reduce pain. So for me, it has become actually something that is a definite. Yeah. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, so any questions, do shout out or put it in the chat. And while you're doing that, just to say how we can help. I belong to 3 different things that support neurodivergent folk, and between us we do group coaching and workshops on a few things like skills and life hacks. So we support about planning and organizing, attention and focus, improving sleep, harnessing emotions, neurodiversity and fibromyalgia. So we do a couple of things like that. And then we also help with inclusion in organizations. And I don't just mean in the workplace, because I don't know about you. I also like to have a life where I can go to a social club of some description. And exactly. You know, why does everyone think I just want to go inclusion in the workplace? I'm like, I do have a life. Anyway, a little rant over. The other thing is we also help entrepreneurs, founders, and leaders. We've got a business community that is just for neurodiverse folk as well. So just mentioning that. And next slide.
Oops.
Last one.
There we go.
There you go. And if you want to get hold of me, that's how I am. I'm Helen at practicalwisdom.uk, and we've got a website as well. That's me and my blended family. So I don't just have one son. So I do try and navigate everything. I've now got a family, there's 6 of us. So it was a whole troop going to the Natural History Museum today. And so I do really get where you're coming from. I really do. And I think it's fantastic that this group actually is around. So well done.
I'm so grateful to you for making time for us this morning, Helen. When you shared this with me, I was like, this is the kind of thing that we can cover in like 20-25 minutes, and it will just be like a really, like, I think it's really helpful and practical. I know you're all about that, like giving things people can practically apply. And I know that you've got a super busy day with your family today, and I'm so grateful that you made time for us. I'm really, really grateful. I think it's going to help lots of people.
Well, I do hope it does. And yeah, lovely to be on here. Actually.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll make sure that everyone gets a replay, and we send everybody your links. People are saying thank you in the comments. You can't see it on all the platforms, but people are saying thank you. And I really, really appreciate. Enjoy your day with the dinosaurs and other things at the Natural History Museum.
Thank you.
I'll see you later.
Okay, lovely. Take care. Bye.
Bye.